Good morning. This is the prelim final edition of the AFL Hour with Geoff and Liam here on 90.7 Swinburne on SYN. What a massive show we have today. The Bulldogs ended the era of the Hawks, and the Swans proved they were too good for the Crows in which could have been a grand final match if you look back only a few weeks ago. The best thing is that we get to see the two best teams of the season play off, and we also get to see the Doggies and the Giants play off for a grand final spot, either the first time in history or the first time since 1961. Today we'll preview both of the prelim finals and talk about everything in between here on the AFL Hour. This is the AFL Hour with Liam and Geoff, and that was Before Too Long by Paul Kelly. And for the second week in a row, I am having to apologise to the Western Bulldogs.
Maybe Liam, if you just stop talking, stuff about them, then you wouldn't have to apologise.
Well, yes.
If you were better at analysing, maybe, then you wouldn't have to.
2 weeks ago against the Eagles, I gave them no chance, and they went on and smashed the Eagles. And now I gave them no chance against the Hawks, and they prevailed again.
That game was weird because I had a big week last Friday. Had a big day, or week as well. So I got home pretty late, and I watched the first half, and I think the Hawks were in front by like 20 points at that stage.
Yeah, there was a point in the game where they were in front by 20 points.
Yeah, and then I fell asleep at half-time, woke back up, and my father's swearing because Bulldogs just unleashed hell on them.
Did your father go for doggies?
No, he goes for North Melbourne.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why you get it. But so he was like, I was like, what happened? And he goes, Bulldogs are just going nuts, and their attacking was brilliant.
I know this is gonna sound weird to you, but I was actually in a crowd of people I know.
Yeah.
Me in a crowd of people.
Yeah.
And most of them were doggy supporters, or people who don't want Hawthorn to win, and it was crazy.
Well, the banner was Truth, which was. I think it was Hawthorn's.
You have 75,000 members, but we've got the whole country.
Yeah, we've got a million, I think, like that. So it was actually true, but it was an entertaining game to watch, and that's what you want from your footy, entertainment.
Well, you were with me last week on 3SSR, and I told you how the doggy supporters there were 100% confident that they were going to win. And I was like, I gave them no hope. But the doggies ended up prevailing.
Did I tip them?
I think you did.
I think I tipped them, yeah.
The final score was Hawthorn 12-12, 84 to the doggies 16-11, 107.
Wow.
I tell you who played phenomenal in that game.
Who?
Liam Picken.
He did play a good game, and I think Tom Boyd played his role brilliantly.
Again, another goalless game. Just let me see if he was. I'm pretty sure he kicked a point. Yeah, he kicked a point, but another 18 disposals.
I think we shouldn't be giving. Well, we should give Tom Boyd credit, but it just feels like it's more of a coaching reason why he's not kicking goals, but he's taking brilliant marks.
Oh, I think he's there to kick goals, but his presence is the reason why he's there. He looks like he could kick back.
Yeah, but
and that's what you got to look like.
But they need that. They need that marking power desperately, the doggies, and they found that in Tom Boyd. But I want to pose a question to you: if you're the coach of the Giants, if you're Leon Cameron, would you put some sort of target on Tom Boyd, or would you just focus more on your own game plan?
Well, I'll give it to Phil Davis. He's done his job on Buddy Franklin, does his job on Tom Hawkins, does his job on Taylor Walker. Give it to Phil Davis. He'll probably, do his job again.
But would you think that you would be looking at your group and you would say to him, this guy's is dangerous coming out of his forward line, going into the middle. Be careful of his marking ability. Like, would you say that to him? Is it worth bringing up?
Oh, they'll bring up everything. They'll probably watch the game. I'm pretty sure Leon Cameron was at the game.
Yeah.
They'll probably watch the game and they'll go through. Don't let Liam Picken get forward. He kicked 3 goals on the weekend, plus 2 in the last quarter.
Yeah.
When the game was up to grabs. Don't give Jake Stringer an inch.
Yeah, exactly.
Marcus Bontempelli take out his knees because he'll still probably kick 10 goals and have 50 disposals because he's a gun.
And I've just gone blank right here. Who's the young player that wears the helmet?
He came on as up in the Rising Star.
I've gone blank here. I can't believe I went blank. He's phenomenal.
Caleb Daniels, there you go.
Caleb Daniels, that's it. So I would put some. Oh, you know what? If you're Leon Cameron, put some pressure on him as well. His running ability is amazing.
But how good is it that, despite the fact that the Giants are 4th and the Bulldogs at 7th, while they were on the ladder, they're the 2 informed teams of the competition?
What's phenomenal is that we are looking at this final series at the moment, and it's a 100% chance we are going to witness history one way or another. Are we going to see the Doggies make the first grand final since 1961, or are we going to see the Giants make the first grand final ever after only being in the league for what? What is it, 4?
This is their 5th season.
5th season. What team in the past have actually done that? A newly found team. I don't think the Eagles did that. The Dockers did it.
It took.
The Dockers did it, and neither did the Power.
The Dockers haven't won a premiership. Wow.
They even like it took them a while to make the grand final though.
Yeah, it did. It only took them 20 years.
Yeah.
It took the Eagles 5.
Yeah.
It took the Brisbane Lions 4 seasons.
Yeah. Well, if that count, no, because that was a merger. It wasn't really a new team.
It kind of does. It took Essendon 1. There you go.
Yeah. Well, that was the 1800s, different times.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're a phenomenal team, the Giants, and they're a good example of being prepared. Amazing.
I 100% agree. You hear people complain about how, there's a headline in the Herald Sun was the team that got everything versus the team that got nothing.
Yes.
Gold Coast got everything as well, and look at them.
Well, they traded and scouted poorly, and their academy has been raided on numerous occasions. Because that's the big problem. Everyone's just going to everyone doesn't look at Gold Coast as a team. They look at Gold Coast like a developmental.
And players go to other clubs.
They say, oh, you know what? Let the Suns be prepared over at the Gold Coast at Metricon Stadium. Let them play a few games, and we'll bring them over here to the big stage, which is Victoria.
Well, that's exactly what the chairman said when Jago O'Meara requested the trade. He goes, "We're not here to develop players."
Yeah,
and that's why they don't want a draft pick in the trade. They want a experienced player.
Yeah,
we'll get to that later when we talk about the
Yeah.
trades. But back to the Doggies. They were down by 20 points, and I remember the start of the game, we were there, and they kicked the first 2 points, and Hawthorn then kicked 2 goals. And I'm thinking to myself, it's over. They've done it again.
Yeah.
Hawthorn kicked another goal, but then straight away, Easton Wood took a mark.
He kicked the first 2 goals, didn't he?
He kicked the first goal for the Doggies.
Yeah.
And the captain goal is not a myth. It's not a rumour. The captain goal is an important goal.
He is a difference maker. Because when you see your leader stand up, you're like, well, he's our leader. He stands up. Maybe we should all stand up with him.
Well, we'll probably just... I've got something about Easton Wood I will talk about later because we're going to talk about the 2017 captains.
Yes.
And we'll just quickly discuss it now. If the Doggies, touch wood, touch metal, touch the air, touch the clouds, win the premiership, would Easton Wood captain the Doggies next year? Because you can't get rid of their second premiership captain.
Well, he's the captain now, isn't he? He's not acting, is he?
He's acting captain.
Who's the proper captain?
Murphy.
Mark. Oh, is it? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that depends on Mark. That depends on Murphy. So, it depends on age, I think. Murphy's pretty seasoned.
34, but he's signed for next year.
He's signed for next year.
Go back to 2004, get in our TARDIS. Go back in time. Treadway was the acting captain for Port Adelaide.
Yes.
When they won the 2004 premiership. And Primus was injured. In
Right.
2005, Primus was still captain.
Well, I think they should go with Woods. Go to the future.
I think too, yeah.
I think they need a leader. Murphy's a terrific leader, but I think Murphy's gotten to that stage in his career when it's just time for him to just be on the field, just to be a mentor, or I like to call them on-field coaches. I think every team is an on-field coach, and I think Murphy can be that for them. But I think Easton Wood is a terrific captain. He's taken responsibility very well. And I just think he's an all-round great leader.
Well, if the Doggies do get up, it'll be only the 4th acting captain to win a premiership. David Dench was the acting captain in 1977 because Keith Gregg was out injured.
Yes.
So the Northampton captain at the time. And he was Northampton captain in 1972. So he wasn't a young player when he was captain of the team. That's why Keith Gregg, when he came back in 1978... continue being captain.
Well, I mean, it all depends on the age. Like, if your coach, if your captain was like 28, and then you had another captain who was 26 or something like that, and you're going to the following season, I think you would stick with your original captain because he's still. But my point is that the Bulldogs are on this amazing path of just if they can maintain their health, can still be an amazing team within the next 2 years. And you're gonna think to yourself, do you want to change captains within those next 2 years, or do you want to start the new captaincy today?
Well, they can do what I think Fremantle's doing, having between the generation gap captain. So they went Pavlich, Mundy to probably Fife.
Yeah.
Bontempelli will captain the Doggies. That's a given. That's ticked in.
Right.
He's already So if they want, Robert Murphy to be captain last year and this year, Easton Wood can be captain from 2017 to 2019.
Yeah.
Gives Bontempelli, that's 3 more years. Give Bontempelli, he'll be 23, 24.
Yeah,
He's still very young.
Yeah.
And then he can captain then on out.
He can, but like I said, it's all about what the Bulldogs want to do. In my opinion, I would like to see Easton Wood captain next year. Yeah. I think he'll be a terrific captain.
Well, I've got what I've heard about Easton Wood. I've never met the man, but according to a source, Minette Russo, he is the nicest guy you ever meet.
Well, you kind of want that in captain, don't you?
You want to, yeah, and
Because they can't be media shy.
Have you seen? There's a photo you probably saw it on Facebook if you follow the Bulldogs on anything.
Right.
Of him, and he's like full of jubilation, the excitement in his face, and that's what you want to see from a captain.
Yeah.
That looks like a captain, someone who's
You want to see
heart and soul.
Yeah, you want to see a captain who wants it badly, who wants that premiership badly.
Just before we go to break, so the game. What did you think of the game?
It was entertaining, and I think it was the symbolism of the young guys passing the old dogs.
Well, that's what I wanted to happen with the Hawthorn losing. I thought it was going to be to GWS sometime, but Hawthorn would have to get knocked out or lose the grand final to the up and comer, to the Giants or to the Doggies.
I mean, I told you last week that I thought that the Hawks were getting a little bit tired, and I was telling you I think it was time for some of those old players to start leaving and start really starting to push that new generation.
Actually, I do agree with that. I was actually in the toilet at the time of this, and it was when Hawthorn kicked the goal, but it was reversed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to myself, and I'm looking through all the stats. I'm thinking to myself, the Doggies have come back at the end of the quarter.
Yeah.
So they started coming back, and they got to a point at half time. I think to myself, yeah, because it was in the third quarter. I was thinking to myself, if the Doggies can withstand, because I think Hawthorn in front by like 5 points, until like the 20-minute mark, they will get to a 13-point lead at three-quarter time.
Yeah.
Which I think they got to a 20-point lead, so I was right. And I think, but the issue is that won't be the same with the Giants. They're not a slow team like Hawthorn.
No, and they're a team that's. I mean, I remember Kevin Sheedy explaining it in the 90s, which he said that 1990s Essendon team that lost to the Collingwood Magpies. He said, yeah, they made the grand final, but the question is, were they hungry? Did they really want it again? Because they've won it in 84 and 85. And then he was right. Like, I mean, the Magpies ran over the Bombers, and I think we're seeing that today. The Hawks have won the past 3 grand finals, and they made the last 4 grand finals, but we tend to forget about that. But they made the last 4 grand finals, and the question is, do they still have that, urge to make another grand final and win the grand final? Like, are they still there?
They're full. Apparently I said before we go, this is the last thing before we go, I swear.
Yeah.
Apparently I said something really deep, and my brother told me to stop. We're talking in the car the other 2 days ago, and I go to him. He goes, "You're right. The Bulldogs are playing off heart."
Yeah.
And I go, "Well, every heart has its last beat."
True. That's exactly. I've never heard something more true than that.
Exactly. So that could be the issue, and we'll probably talk about when we preview the prelim.
Yeah.
But yeah, after probably one of the games of the round, we'll talk about the most disappointing game of the final series here on AFL Hour. Here on the AFL Hour with Liam and Geoff.
Hey.
So after a very big upset on Friday night, and I was so pumped for this weekend for both games. You look back at round 23, Sydney was first, Adelaide was second. You think to yourself, massive grand final possibility because Sydney would have played Hawthorn and Adelaide would have played Geelong.
Yes.
But that didn't happen, and now Adelaide put on an absolute poor performance.
I think the problem with that game was that Adelaide. I think they performed well in the second half. You know what I mean? Like that first quarter is what lost them the game because Sydney kicked to way too big of a lead in the first quarter, and what we see after that, brilliant defending by Sydney against a team that has a phenomenal forward line.
So, yeah, I do agree though. Well, this was Sydney's first final win since 2014 prelim final, so they've gone. That's their fourth. So broken the drought of 4 finals losses, where the the Crows have lost back-to-back prelim finals.
Is that true?
Sorry, semi-finals. Yeah, they lost to Hawthorn last year, and again, they performed well against the Doggies last year, came back and played poorly. They did the exact same this year.
Now, what is the reason behind it? Do you think it's because they're lacking some sort of player? Whether it's like a strong defensive player or a midfielder or...
Well, they were looking at all their recruits last year. None of them played in this game. Paul Seaman didn't play.
Yes.
Curly Hampton didn't play, and neither did Troy Mental. And 2 of them didn't even play at all this season.
Wow.
So the recruiting failed. Oh, and I can't remember the guy's name. Who they got for Dangerfield didn't play as well.
Wow, really?
So their recruiting has failed.
So should we be looking at who they're employing to be the scouts?
I think so.
Yeah, but I think that Adelaide don't really need young players. They just need players.
They need the it factor.
Yeah, I mean they got a good team, and I mean if you got Eddie Betts was I think dominated. He didn't dominate the game, but he was overpowered quite a bit.
Well, Dane Rampy. Well, he's all Australian for a reason. You can't get all Australian and not be a good defender.
Oh yeah. And you could tell he studied Eddie Betts. Eddie Betts didn't get as much room as just thought he was going to get.
But it was the same as last year. Eddie Betts didn't play good at all. I think he was on Frawley. Frawley was actually on Eddie Betts.
Yes, that's true.
And again, he just couldn't perform. But I don't think he performed in Carlton's 2000 and any of Carlton's prelim semi-finals when he played. Maybe he's just a one-hit wonder when it comes to finals.
Well, do you think he just can't live up to the pressure? I mean, he's good at playing under pressure, but that's during a game.
Yeah. Oh no, I just thought the SCG would suit Adelaide more.
Yeah.
Even though it's Sydney's home ground.
It's a shorter field, isn't it, than it would be at Adelaide? Yes.
So more for the fast break, quick for Eddie Betts. Jenkins, I don't even think he showed up to the game.
No. Well, if you look back at that game, and we're talking, I think that Sydney won that game purely on their defensive skills. Amazing defensive skills.
What you said before, they won it in their first half as well.
They did.
It was
first quarter.
10-5 to 4-4 at halftime. Ended up being 18-10, 118 to 12-10, 82.
Yes.
At 3/4 time, I thought Adelaide was in the game. I thought maybe if they got the first goal of the last quarter, it would be game on.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, and yeah.
Can you please say one more time with your sheets, what was the full score for the first quarter, what was the full score for the last quarter? That's meaning goals and behinds as well.
It was 7-3
Yes.
to 3-2
Okay.
quarter time, and at end of the game, it was 18-10 to 12-10.
So, like, once again, you could just looking at those scores, Sydney won it in the first quarter, and I mean what you can see what they've actually did was they came out all guns blazing in that first quarter. They were so motivated. Their crowd was behind them. They dominated the first quarter, and what they basically did was they just defended the final quarter. You know what I mean? It felt like the mentality of the Swans was, if they're gonna kick a goal, we're gonna kick a goal.
Exactly.
And they were alert. Adelaide scored, I think it was like the first 3 goals of the last quarter. Correct me if I'm wrong. They scored 3 in a row in the final quarter.
Who? Sorry, who?
The Crows.
No, so Sydney kicked the first 2 goals. They won it in the first 3 minutes of the last.
Yeah. But then you could tell that Sydney just looked at each other and they go, okay, they're putting up some fight here. Let's just go back to our game plan. And they did, and that's how they won the game.
Yeah, they kicked the last 3 goals of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so just Sydney's defending was amazing. They didn't look like a defensive team against the Giants. The Giants' pressure was amazing, but you could tell that they were. I don't know what changed in their heads, but they were just much more motivated this time around.
They were.
They were more on their tails. They knew we've got a challenge here. We've got to get over this challenge.
Yeah, it was just disappointing as a spectator. It's like this weekend, Geelong versus Sydney, another game that you thought maybe could be in the grand final.
Mm.
And I think, to me myself, has to be a good game. There really cannot be a
Yeah. Well, they're playing against the Cats in Melbourne at the MCG, I believe.
Well, they defeated Geelong at Simmons
Yeah.
early in the year, so they can easily do it.
Now, when we started the show, I said from the get-go, I was like, the Swans are going to win the premiership because they just seem like the most consistent side. I think you kind of like semi-agree with me on that point. I want to get your opinion on this. So do you think that the Swans are still premiership favourites? Because they are playing against the Cats, who were both of our number 2s, and then you got to remember the grand finals around the corner. So, all right, let's just start from the beginning. Do you think they can beat the Cats?
Yes.
Do you think they can beat the Bulldogs or the Giants? I'll say yes for the Giants.
I'll say I don't think anyone could beat the Doggies in the grand final.
Yeah.
If the Doggies somehow make it, I don't think they can be beaten.
They got apart from cycling, they got no grand final experience players in that team, don't they?
No.
This is how I'm picturing the grand final for the Doggies. They'll come out, they'll be unbelievably defensive, and they're just gonna struggle so much in that grand final. They're gonna be so overwhelmed. I don't think the Doggies are a brilliant team. Mentally, they're not ready for a grand final.
See, I think it's different. If you look back to Fremantle's grand final in 2013, it was, wow, this is our first grand final.
Yeah.
This is our chance to make history. And Hawthorn just came off a grand final loss.
Yeah.
So it was the fumbling Fremantle, which they were. They kicked 1 goal 6 until half time.
And they couldn't even make it to the goal square half the time.
Yeah. They had something to lose. The Doggies and the Giants actually have nothing to lose this season.
Yeah,
where Sydney and Geelong have everything to lose.
They do have a lot of things to lose, but I mean, I just can't see the Doggies. They look too inexperienced for me. Like, how many players are below the age of 25?
Pretty much half their list.
Half their list. They're going to be so shaky if they go into that grand final. And, I mean, that's why I'm still kind of back to Swans or the Cats. My prediction is whoever wins that preliminary final is going to win the grand final.
I messaged both of my friends. So I got 2 friends I talk footy with.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the winner of Friday will win the premiership.
Yeah.
But you said that
they always seem more experienced and they just seem more ruthless.
I do agree with that. But you got to remember, Geelong and Sydney are both shadows of the previous premiership team. Like GWS has Mumford, Johnson, and Shaw, so they have premiership experience and grand finals experience.
But do you think that like Jonathan Patton, do you think he's going to come out and he's just going to go, bang, this is my day, and he's just going to dominate? Because Franklin did it in a way. I mean, let's talk about Lance Franklin for a moment here. Lance Franklin in 2008 kicked 100 goals. He was he kicked 100.
Yeah.
I think maybe a little bit more than that.
He kicked 100. He's ended up on 113.
113. He was the king of the forward lines in that era. And then I just have this memory because that was 2008, almost 10 years ago. I remember just him being so shaky in that grand final.
Yeah, he kicked 2 goals, I think.
And we were all expecting Franklin to come out and kick 7 goals.
Do you remember a few weeks ago when we actually spoke about Lance Franklin? I took you through 2008.
Yeah.
How he only kicked 2 goals. In 2012, he kicked 4 goals.
Yeah.
Or did he kick 3? But he kicked a bag in current terms. 2013, he only kicked the 1 in the first quarter from a 50-metre penalty, so he kicked it in the goal square. And in 2014, he kicked 4.
Yeah.
The games he dominates, the team loses the grand final.
That's true. I'm not sure why that is, but...
The same reason why Tony Lockett kicked 6 goals in the 1996 grand final and Sydney lost.
And Gary Ablett-Senior kicked a record-breaking 8 goals, I think, at that time.
9, yeah.
9 goals in the 1989 grand final.
The issue is the best teams share the win a premiership, which probably fits in Geelong's favour more than anyone. They can share the kicking around. The Giants can share the goal kicking around, and so can the Bulldogs. So when it comes to goal kicking, they can share the load. Where Sydney might be, especially when the time gets tough, you go to your best player. Where Doggies won't have that in the forehand, unless you got Jake Stringer, but they have other players that go to.
Yeah, I'd like to see someone bigger in the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Sydney. Let's go back to the Swans here. So the Swans grand finals hope, if they do make the grand final, is Franklin going to be a positive or a negative for them? Just based on what you just told me earlier about his performances in grand finals.
It depends if you learn from your mistakes. Because they've got Xavier Richards, who's a tall forward. So I'm trying to find that guy. He kicked 4 goals. I've never heard of him until the final series. But they've got Isaac Heaney. They have Xavier Richards, like I just said. Buddy Franklin.
Tom Mitchell.
Alia's
been going up forward quite a bit from a guy who plays in the half-back line.
Yeah. And I'm glad that Sydney kept him in as well.
He's cool. I like him a lot.
Papley. Tom Papley, who kicked 2 goals, the first 2 goals against GWS, and then kicked 4 on the weekend.
Yeah.
Haven't heard of him until the finals.
No. Well, I think they're getting better. I reckon the trick is put Franklin at centre half. Don't leave him in the forward.
See, I would actually be like, Xavier Richards is the second tall. Kirk Tibble, when he comes back, will probably play in the ruck. I'd be like, use Xavier Richards is your key target.
You know what I would like to do though? I would tell Franklin, start from the 50-metre arc, and then just jump through to the middle because he's a brilliant mark. B, he's a terrific and well-educated kick, and I mean if I'm in the forward line and I'm 1-on-1 and I'm leading, I want Franklin to kick me that ball because he knows where to put it.
Okay. We'll talk about just quickly before we wrap up. The issues that both Sydney and Geelong have that the Doggies and the Giants don't have. If you shut down Buddy, Sydney will lose. If you shut down Dangerfield, Geelong will lose. Who do you shut down in the Doggies or the Giants?
Stephen Johnson. Well, I think we're going to find out whether or not how instrumental Stephen Johnson's abilities are in that Giants team in the preliminary final.
He kicked 5 points.
Yeah. And I mean, with the Doggies, you got to look at several players. I mean, like cycling, I don't think we've spoken enough about him this season. I think he's really done what he needs to do. Tom Boyd, you just got to slow his run down, and then you got to look at Jake Stringer and you got to look at multiple players in that team to shut him down, and that's what's we don't give the Doggies enough credit that they are the underdogs. But I think
pun intended.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I do think they kind of are intimidating in a sense with their speed, but. I mean, when we talk about the Doggies, when you say who do we shut down, you got to shut down several players.
That's what I think the Giants and the Doggies have that advantage that Geelong and Sydney don't have.
Yeah, and I mean Mumford and Like Mumford and Shaw, they don't look dangerous. It's the young players that look dangerous to me in that Giants team.
I 100% agree. For a segment that was meant to be about Sydney and Adelaide, we really didn't talk much about the game, but because there was really nothing to talk about.
No, it wasn't.
The ball got bounced. There was a few tough tackles at the start. Sydney won.
Look,
Adelaide
at the end,
disappointed again.
In the end, the Swans just slowed down the Adelaide run from the half-back line. Because we all know they love counter-attacking. The Swans just slowed them down in the end.
I 100% agree. After this, we want to talk about the Hawthorns' historic run. And has it actually come to an end here on the AFL Hour? Here on the AFL Hour on 90.7 Swinburne on SYN. And Geoff was just playing with the mic, so that's probably what you heard.
Yeah, I wanted to be Jennifer Hudson for a while. All right, no, moving on. AFL. Hey.
Yes, the Hawks.
Yeah.
1,084 days as AFL premiers.
That's amazing to me.
That is a big run.
Yeah.
Well, look at it. I know people, especially this year, gave Hawks a flack, free kick, Hawthorn, LOL, Ruffle, all that stuff.
Yeah. Umpires are playing for the Hawks.
But you can't deny the fact one of the greatest teams of all time.
At least in our era, yeah. I mean, I can't believe within a space of, 15 years that we've had... For 15 years, 6 of the premierships belong to 2 teams. That's the reality. And we can say that I think it's like 8... 2 teams made 8 grand finals. There's a bunch of stats that we can go off of, but it's actually amazing that they didn't make it 3 in a row.
It was. And the thing is, all 3 of their premierships, they dominated the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they destroyed the Dockers. They destroyed the Swans. They actually did. They destroyed every team that they played against.
The only thing is that history people, if you're just reading it in a magazine or something, will look at it and be like, Hawthorn defeated Fremantle by 15 points. Wow, what a close game.
Yeah, but when you watch it, I still remember that game being...
It was not... For me, I'm a Fremantle fan.
Yeah.
For me, it was probably more... Everything was quick. The game was probably the quickest game I ever watched from siren to siren, that grand final.
I think it was the Hawks had a brilliant start. The Dockers got into the rhythm a little bit, and then the Hawks finished them off.
I think everyone underestimates the importance of the first goal of the last quarter, especially in a tight game.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Dockers got the 10 points at 3/4 time in that grand final.
I remember that, yeah.
And Hawthorn kicked the first goal in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So everyone...
And then Gunston dominated. He kicked 4 goals.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah. But
so
they are an amazing team.
From 2011 to 2016, 150 games, 116 wins, 4 grand finals and 3 premierships.
Yeah.
And 5 prelims.
And I mean, they made some calls about that team that we all thought was stupid. They were like, we're going to bring Frawley over. No, that's a dumb idea. We're going to bring Brian Lake over. Who does that? Look how old he is. And then they both ended up playing amazingly in the grand final. And Brian Lake, to all of our shock, won the Norm Smith in that Fremantle Hawthorn.
See, the only thing I disagree about Hawthorn's premiership reign is the Norm Smith. I think Gunston, who kicked 4 goals and tore the game apart, should have won Norm Smith. In 2014, I'm fine with Hodge. Hodge deserved it. In 2016, I thought Mr. Smiley, Isaac Smith, should have won it.
Well, I'm sticking with Brian Lake because, I mean, I remember Mick Morehouse saying, because Mick Morehouse was a defender back in his heyday, he said, the defenders get a little bit robbed a little bit because they can't kick the winning goal of the game. But if you look back at that game, Brian Lake was the goalkeeper of that final quarter.
Well,
you could not get past him.
Well, that's more Freer's fault than anyone else because they got rid of their second ruckman who was going to be the forward. We shouldn't really be analysing this, and Pavlich was their only key, and they just, when the going gets tough, you go to your best player.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned Malthouse as a backman, isn't it an amazing thing that Malthouse and Kevin Sheedy played in the same backline at a point in time?
Yeah, you don't really think about it that much either, and it's not a shock that they were part of the most successful Richmond era.
They were.
They were so good, but I mean, do you think it's done? We're not going to see Hawthorn in the grand final for a while now. Do you think it's going to be just deja vu of they dominated the 80s and the early 90s, and then they're going to slack off for the next decade?
They won't do it. They won't do it Brisbane. They'll make finals next year. They might drop off.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do it Brisbane.
Well, when's Clarkson's time up? That's the real question. Because he's been there for a while now. Because you didn't think he's going to end up like Malthouse and Sheedy when he's going to coach there for 27 years.
That's hard to say, actually.
It's either he leaves the Hawks soon. It's either he coaches the Hawks for the next decade, or he moves to another club and coaches them for the next 5 years.
Well, I think so. Well, they can't be hesitant. They can't rush it. If Hawthorn don't make it to a grand final in the next 5 years, they can't sack him.
Yeah.
I don't think they won't win the premiership next year.
They won't win it, no. Their bodies are tight. It's just whether or not because Clarkson loves that team.
He does, yeah.
Because that's Clarkson's team. Like who was in that team there that was in Hawthorn before Clarkson was there? There's only like two or three.
Yeah,
really.
Hodge, Mitchell, Lewis.
And I think that's it really, because Rioli came in 08, I think.
Yeah.
And then Gunston followed, and like that was his team. He built that team, but. I mean, when you're a coach, you kind of think of your players to be your children in a sense, and you don't want to delist your children.
No, you don't at all.
So I don't know if it's going to be like, it's time for you to tell me when you want to leave, or it's going to be like Clarkson's going to be like, well, we have a youth movement on our hands. I think you guys had a good career, and it's time to go.
I don't think Clarkson thought the Hawks would go out in straight sets. So that's probably why he re-signed Gibbs. Josh Gibson, Burgoyne, Mitchell, and Hodge.
Yeah.
I think one of them will be gone by the end of the year. One of them will retire.
I mean, when I look at that Hawthorn team, I imagine a clock spinning because it feels like that their end is near and the end is coming pretty fast. I mean, I said this to you last week. I'm going to stick by it. I think Jordan Lewis should leave that team. I think that Luke Hodge's time is going to be up pretty soon. I mean, there's just going to be 2 or 3 players who are part of that era who are going to stay there. And I think Rioli's going to stay there. Puopolo will stay with him. I think Gunston is going to stay with the Hawks because I think he's going to love that. I think he's just going to love being the man of that forward line.
Exactly.
But just guys like Mitchell, Hodge, and Lewis. They look very exhausted to me.
They do. They all look tired.
They look tired.
But you gotta, how many teams? You look at the Doggies who are playing off in the prelim.
Yeah.
Look at all the teams. Geelong's on 9. Sydney's on 5. 5 or 4, 6, 5.
Yes.
Doggies are on 1 and Giants on 0.
Yeah.
I think Geelong's gone back to back out of all those teams.
Yeah.
The Doggies have only made 2 grand finals. So Hawthorn's made more grand finals in that period than the Doggies have in their history.
Yeah, and it's just based on. I mean, look at the assistants of 2008 compared to now. Clarkson's assistant coaches are now terrific coaches. Like, remind me again, who's the coach of the Western Bulldogs?
Beveridge.
Luke Beveridge, that's it.
And then you got Brendan Bolton in Carlton.
Brendan Bolton, and then you've got Leon Cameron with the Giants.
Oh yeah,
he's the assistant. Damien Hardwick was an assistant in the 08 grand final.
Yeah.
And then after the 08 grand final, he became the Richmond coach. So I mean, he is actually the Kevin Sheedy of our era.
He is.
Like what? Because Kevin Sheedy had like Neil Danaher was his assistant, Mark Harvey was his assistant, and I think that's happening again right now. So I think Clarkson's just a brilliant coach.
Was Bomber his assistant at one point? Bomber Thompson?
Oh, was he this? No, I don't think he was.
No?
I can't recall if that was true. But I think it's just time for Clarkson to just start that change of putting in some younger players, filling in more of those spots, because Geelong did it, and Geelong are in a really good position right now. They've got a lot. Like, I mean, Guthrie would not have had the shot he had if they've gotten rid of some of those midfielders that they had in like 07 and 2011. Guthrie, he plays in midfield.
He plays with Geelong.
Yeah, Geelong. I'm talking about Geelong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering that. Sorry.
No, Guthrie plays. I mean, you would think he had that. You wouldn't have had that opportunity.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
And I mean, who's Kirsten? I think his name is. If Paul Chapman wasn't delisted, he would have never got his shot. So I think Geelong played their role beautifully, and I think Chris Scott is an amazing coach for doing so.
Oh yeah, rebuild on the go. Yeah. I know that can fail epically, but it can also be. Geelong's a big success of that. They missed the finals once. But they rebuild on the go. Sydney as well. Alea, we spoke about last segment.
Yeah.
They could easily now go to Ted Richards and be like, we need that experience, but they're sticking with Alea.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Mitchell, who just came out of nowhere, and he's been amazing. And Heaney as well. Heaney's just... You look at Heaney, you go to yourself, well, he's going to win some sort of medal in the future, whether it be an MVP or a Brownlow or something. He's going to win it.
Actually, we'll talk about Tom Mitchell when we talk about the trade rumours.
Yeah. But I think the key here is that as soon as the coach goes, I'm going to sack 8 players all together and rebuild, then you know that coach is going to get sacked.
Doing your Fremantle.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't work.
It doesn't.
When was the last time that worked?
The Doggies didn't sack people. They had players leave.
Yeah.
But that was just luck, and they had faith.
Mm.
Like, there's something about the Doggies at the moment that no club has. No club has what the Doggies have at the present time. We don't know what that is.
It's just hope.
If you're a wrestling fan out there, they have it.
Yeah. There's a lot of hope in there. There's a lot of heart in that team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, The Hawks should start trading out if they want to be a premiership side again.
Well, look at the company they're in. They were in the company of Carlton, Melbourne. They've done it twice. Brisbane and now Hawks.
Yeah.
Only Collingwood's up there with the 4 premierships in a row.
Yeah.
So they're in this elite company.
Yeah.
That we probably won't see again. We probably won't see for a long time.
We'll see for a long time. Because I'm sure someone said that when Brisbane won the 3.
It was just luck. I think it was just luck and hard work. Because remember, the Hawthorn thing started in 08.
The entire team started in 08, yeah, you're right.
Practice makes perfect. 08 was a lucky premiership. It was one of those premierships that didn't feel right on the day. Geelong should have won the premiership in 08.
And
that was a much better side.
And they famously didn't win the grand final. They famously didn't make the finals a year after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just shows that Hawthorn wasn't ready as a team. They were just lucky.
Yeah.
Well, skilled and luck. So the team started in 08. And you got to remember, I watched the interview when they're doing the Richmond, how there's a new board that wants to take over Richmond.
Yeah.
In 05, I think they were talking about 05, 06. Richmond was one below Hawthorn. And look at them now.
Yeah, I know.
Really look at the difference of teams. And Hawthorn is by far probably one of the greatest teams of all time.
Yeah, of our era. I mean, the club itself, man, that 80s run is still talked about to this day. When they made, 8 grand finals in 10 years?
8 in a row. 7 in a row, yeah.
7 in a row,
or
yeah.
8 in 10.
Yeah. But I think, I just think it's time for them to move on. I want to see a new team in that club.
Yeah, they need a new captain. They just need to do everything.
Yeah, they need a new midfielder, a new defender. They just need a little bit of a refresher. I'm not saying they should delist all the players collectively. I just think that they should get some younger bodies in there that are a little bit more fitter than the ones we have now.
Talking about younger bodies, we'll talk about that because we're going to go through all the trade rumours.
Yeah.
And one of them today has pretty much officially been confirmed here on the AFL Hour. Here on the AFL Hour with Liam and Geoff, and this is the preliminary finals edition.
Yeah, it is. You gotta stop doing that. Anyway, so what's our next segment, Liam?
Our next segment, trade. This is starting to get to the silly part of the season.
Yeah.
This year more than any players, and I think this is probably our 5th time we're talking about trade rumours.
Yeah. For some reason, trade nowadays is more common. More players are starting to leave. Yeah.
There's a few little names, but there's a few big ones. I don't know if you've heard the news that Adelaide has offered like $6 million to Dustin Martin.
Pardon me?
Adelaide's offered $6 million to Dustin Martin.
Is that Adelaide or Port?
Adelaide.
Adelaide.
Yeah.
Do they really need? Well, I think that's just too much money.
I think it is too, but apparently they've spoken. Of course you do. If someone's offering you $6 million,
oh my god,
we'll talk to him.
Yeah, you don't give a DM.
Another one is Tom Rockcliffe, the Brisbane captain.
Right.
But he's been rumoured since halfway through the year that he's to go to Adelaide.
Adelaide, yeah. Well, Adelaide's recruiting like crazy. Yeah. Well, we were saying before, Adelaide is missing players, and I think now they're trying to fix that.
And the one thing you realise, especially when it comes to trade rumours, even when the player managers and that always are like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. They all play dumb. Because, but we all know if there's a rumour out there, there's truth to every rumour.
Yeah, and sometimes they are. Yeah, usually in the AFL they are.
Rockcliffe might not go to Adelaide, but he's probably spoken to him on the phone.
Yeah.
Another big one, you got Brett DeLito is rumoured to go to Geelong. And again, Brett DeLito's come out and said, had no interest.
Yeah, but that has been an ongoing thing throughout the years. During the Geelong's rise and the Richmond fall, there's a lot of discussion around DeLito moving.
And then we've got 2 players. We've got Luke Bruce and Jack Gunston.
Right.
It's been reported that Luke Bruce it'll be just a quick swap. Luke Bruce for Jago O'Meara.
Okay, yeah.
But Gold Coast want Jack Gunston. I don't think that's going to happen because Jack Gunston left Adelaide to go back to Victoria.
Yeah, and I think that Gunston's just really happy with his position. Yeah. I think because you got to remember, he went into that forward line that included Franklin and Roughhead. But I think now that those 2 players are both gone, I think he's liking the opportunity of being the forward line player.
Yeah, he's the it guy in the forward line.
Yeah, he is. He's the go-to guy.
Also about Gold Coast, I just read today, Triple M, that the Lions and the Gold Coast have come to an agreement that Pierce Hanley will end up in Gold Coast.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Well, if you're Pierce Hanley, would you really want to go to the Gold Coast?
Would you really want to stay in Brisbane?
I understand that, but I mean, a lot of players are trying to leave Queensland.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the offer has to be really
Well,
good.
I'm sticking to my guns that Gold Coast are playing finals next year. So yes, he'll want to go to Gold Coast. He wants
Yeah.
to play finals next season.
So, but you think he's taking a leadership role over there, or do you think it's...
He'll be in the leadership group. But that's the thing. The weaker clubs seem to have the biggest leadership groups.
Part
Like
of-
Gold Coast has a massive leadership group.
How... Give me an estimate. Can you put a number on it?
So Albert's the captain.
Yeah.
Prestia, Lynch,
Or not even.
May, and
Yeah.
Day are all vice captains.
What? You don't need one vice
And
captain.
then
kid.
then the leadership group, you have David Swallow, Jago O'Meara, Nick Malcheski, Michael Riscatelli, and I think Judd Harbrow.
You don't...
Oh, sorry, Matt Rosa.
I'm sorry, you don't need... You know how I am with when it comes to whatever. I'm not a big fan of... You don't need that much. Why would you need those many vice
If you have that
captains?
many leaders, why aren't you playing finals?
True. Well, are they ready to be leaders?
Probably not.
Because I've been downing Lynch. I've been saying Lynch is a phenomenal player, and if you look all over the media, everyone's saying, "Yeah, he should be the captain. He should be the." Oh yeah, I've been downing him. I still.
I'm on the Lynch bandwagon, and you know that.
Yeah, I know that, but I just think he's not vocal enough. Well, I think the problem with that Gold Coast team is they're not a vocal team.
Well, you got to remember that you don't know what happens behind closed doors, and I've told you about the documentary last year, The Chosen Few.
Yes.
This is when I did Phil Davis as captain, but they went inside to one of his captain's address, and his voice went from normal talking voice to big, deep, saying the F word every second sentence. I'm like, yeah, he's captain.
I mean, well, we'll touch on the Bombers really briefly, but we'll go back to the Suns. So I just want to do this just sort of comparison. I mean, when you look at that Gold Coast team, you see Gary Ablett, and he's walking up to all of his players, and he's like, all right, come on, boys, get something out of here. And I remember when Carmichael Hunt had to take the kick after the siren against the Tigers, he went over he's brilliant. I still think that Gary Ablett's a brilliant captain. He went to Carmichael Hunt, and he said this in the media. He says, they just went up to him and just said, mate, just take the kick, just like he did at training. And I'm like, I love that as a captain. I mean, if I was a player, I would love to hear my captain say that. But when you look at the Gold Coast team today, how often do you see the camera putting on one player and the player's going up to his teammate and he's giving him some word of advice? I mean, we need some... I mean, even on this show, you give me advice. And that's what makes me better as a better broadcaster. On the AFL team, you need to give your players advice so they can be a better player. And I mean, that's why... And let's just go to the Bombers real quick. When Joe Watson was injured, Heppel took that position, and I think that Heppel did a good job in that.
Well, I do agree, and that's why I think Lynch will be a good captain, because he's captain Gold Coast the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean...
but then I also think Stephen May would be a good captain as well.
I can understand that, but at the end of the day, when you're a captain, when you become a captain, you are no longer a player. You then become, in some sense, a player coach.
Exactly.
Because that's why Hawthorn's such a good team. Look at the Hawthorn last couple of years, that Hawthorn leadership team. I think it was Joel Selwood said this on SEN, I think it was, when he said, he goes, playing Hawthorn, it's like to have 8 coaches on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was SEN, yeah.
I think it was SEN. And he goes, it's like, when you play them, it's like to have 8 coaches on the field. That's why leadership in teams is so important. And I think, in my opinion, just watching the Gold Coast Suns, watching their body language, watching how they talk to each other, I think that they're just lacking that leadership. And that's the reason why they're not doing so
See,
good.
I think they are as well. And I think we said this before. Gold Coast needs, in movie terms, in Hollywood terms, they need a reboot.
They do.
They did the first one. It didn't do well at the box office.
Yeah.
Didn't get enough money. Reboot it with a different cast
Yeah.
and try again.
And I mean, it's shocking to see this when you have such an aggressive coach like Rodney Eade. I mean, it doesn't get more aggressive than that guy.
Exactly.
But when you see this team not looking to inspire, not looking to bang, you know what I mean? Just they're not looking like this ruthless team. You kind of go, well, what's the coach saying in the address? What's he saying?
agree. I have no idea. And Gold Coast have shown it in many times this season. Like they lost to Jet at Rest by 8 points. They just lost to Hawthorn down in Tassie.
They just lost to Melbourne.
Yeah, they just lost them after the siren.
Exactly.
Who else? They just lost to another team. I can't remember who. And even last year they drew with West Coast, who played in the grand final,
Yeah.
which was a Tom Lynch goal. See, that's why I have Tom Lynch. He's a big moment player.
I mean, he's a big moment player, but he's not. He needs to be more vocal, in my opinion, to be the captain.
I guarantee you, I don't think he'll change your mind. But if you go behind closed doors, maybe things could change.
Maybe different. I'm
Yeah.
just watching this guy when I go to the footy, and I'm just watching this guy from home. I'm not on the field. I don't have an earpiece in my ear listening to him. But sometimes, when he scores a goal or when his teammate scores a goal, I would like to see him go up to his teammate, give him a little high five, and just give him some words like, "Hey, yeah, good job, buddy. Thanks for the mark." I just want to hear that. I just want to see it a little bit instead of him kicking the goal, running to the bench and high-fiving someone on the way there. I think in order to be a good leader, I mean, if you look at all the great captains in the past, they're all pretty vocal.
That's the thing. Maybe that's the thing with Tom Lynch, and we'll probably talk about captains when captains going to be our next segments. But you got to bleed. You got to bleed.
You got to bleed your club.
Yeah. Does Tom Lynch bleed Gold Coast? I'll say so. He signed a 3-year deal.
I think so too. He's committed.
Maybe the cut's not deep enough yet to see the blood. But that's what I think. I think maybe he's not ready to be captain, but I think he can be ready.
He can be trained to be captain, and he can be a brilliant captain. Whether he can be the captain today, I don't think so.
But I don't think, because I said Gold Coast need to reboot, I don't think Ablett can be captain of the Suns anymore.
I don't think he can play anymore. Man, that guy's getting injured every second day.
And like I said, I'm sticking to my word. I'll put my house. I won't put my house on it, but I'll put a bit of grass from my lawn on it that the Suns will play finals next year.
Well, I'd love to see that. But before we go to a song break, I just want to ask you a question. You're the chairman of the Gold Coast.
I've never done this before.
Heading into the season next year, are you considering? Would you back Rodney Eade for the next 2 or 3 seasons?
Yes.
You would back him. So you think he's going to be?
I hate it when they get rid of coaches when the going gets tough.
Yeah.
Big example of Brisbane Lions with Michael Voss.
Exactly. But the thing is with that, I'm with you on that one. I think that we should back coaches more. The problem with Michael Voss was, I believe looking at him that he was on the rise and then they sacked him. But do you see the Gold Coast Suns on the rise? Do you see them on the cusp of being?
I just said they're playing finals.
Sorry?
I just said they're playing finals.
But do you see them being a dominant team in 5 years?
Yes.
You see them. So you're going to back Ronnie through that?
Yep.
Fair dinkum.
I think they need a bit more depth in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Their forward line and back line, Jim Dandy.
Yeah.
A bit more depth in the midfield. They need that it factor because, as we know, especially getting older, there's a difference between bad teams, okay teams, good teams, and then great teams.
Exactly. Yes.
Like Fremantle, I'll go back to Fremantle. They were a good team. 2012, 2015, they were a good team, but they couldn't get to that Sydney, Hawthorn, Geelong of great teams.
I understand that. Yeah.
And that's a hard, that's a very, very small club.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, then the second question before we wrap up is.
Sorry, I've got one more big one, but we'll go ask your question and we'll talk about this one.
The other big one is the main issue with the Gold Coast, which is very obvious, is they don't have a solid list, meaning everyone's just leaving, everyone's getting recruited, everyone's being traded. How do you control that team?
Well, that's the thing that people I think misinterpret here. Dion Prestia, yes, he's vice captain, great player, has played I think 15 games in the last 2 seasons. Jake O'Meara, again, pretty much he was potentially the future captain.
Yeah,
hasn't played a game in 2 years. Davis Wallow, who is rumoured to be on the outer as well, hasn't played a game in 2 years. Harley Bennell was in and out of form last year and had some off-field trouble. Same with Charlie Dixon. Josh Caddy was when he left in 2011. That's all the players they've lost.
Yeah.
It's not like they've lost as much as the Giants have.
Yeah, but it just feels like they're losing structure. It feels like they don't have that solid team. Like, I can't really think... I mean, I can't really think of a major backline player. You know what I mean?
Oh, they've got Stephen May.
Stephen May. And Nick Malcheski, I think, is a good player for him. But they don't... For some reason, when I watch that team, I'm not feeling inspired.
But you got to remember, if you're looking back, sorry, that was bad. If the Giants were still last, and because they pretty much lose 3 to 4 players every season. Okay. People be like, they're doing terribly. Yeah. If Gold Coast were in GWS position this year and having O'Meara and Prestia want to leave, people are like, okay, they're not. They won't be playing in the finals anyways. I think they both will be out still now. Yeah. So that's why I think Gold Coast will make finals. I believe that they're losing the big media name players.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Miller, Aaron Hall, Sumner. Summer. They've got these good midfielders, but they're just not as recognised as the other ones. Yeah. So that's why I have faith in Gold Coast. Okay. And I think Gold Coast should have faith in me.
So you're ready to be the chairman now.
Yeah. The last one I just want to talk about, Todd Goldstein. I read an article yesterday that he has spoken to the Doggies. Okay. And might head off to the Bulldogs. So that means North Melbourne would have lost Daniel Wells, who is pretty much going to Collingwood. Boomer Harvey, who the only rumour I've heard is GWS.
I've heard from SEN. I was in SEN. Carlton have just been like poking around the bushes, but probably won't go for it.
Yeah, Drew Petrie, who probably would have retired, but the fact that West Coast have shown interest in him.
Yes.
Michael Frito, so they've lost. I've got North Melbourne in my bottom four next year.
I mean, there's a large question mark over that team. And I remember early in the program, I was saying to you, I said to you, if you cut 8 players or whatever simultaneously, then that club won't do well.
Exactly.
And then, I mean, we might be seeing that again. I mean, Todd Goldstein is an amazing player, but I think Scott really wants to start pushing Majak Dor because he's played some games this year, and you can just see the talent in him.
But see, Majak Dor could be on the way out as well. He was very much the fourth forward.
Yes.
And that's, pretty much driven him on the out. Anyways, we're going to talk about future captains after he's on the AFL Hour. Today's here on the AFL Hour with Liam and Geoff. So, 2017 is going to be a big year for footy, as all years are. But if you look closely in between the lines, you'll realise that it could be a big year for captain overhauls. And I've just said this to you before.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with a big one. As we were talking about trade rumours, Tom Rockcliffe leaving Brisbane, which seems like a big possibility, but it's also been reported, even if he doesn't leave, he won't be captain next year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks over a lot of teams.
I don't know about you, but I have 3 candidates.
For the Lions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dane Zorko, who's just won back-to-back BNFs.
Yes.
Daniel Rich.
Okay, yeah.
And Dane Beams.
I like all of those. I like them all. I don't know why I'm not really fond of Dane Beams. For some reason, doesn't seem like a really good captain for the Lions. But I mean, it's a flip of the coin with Daniel Rich and Zorko. If it came down to it, and someone said to me, "You gotta pick a coach. You gotta pick a captain," I would go. Daniel Rich seems more of the Lions' heart and soul for that team.
I'm pretty sure he was drafted as captain. Like when he was drafted, I remember in 07 when he was drafted. It was him or Hill to be picked number 3.
Yeah.
Hill went number 3, and Rich went number 7. And even when he goes out there, like, this guy looks like looks like Michael Voss, plays like Michael Voss. He hasn't been able to shake a tag, but that could change when he gets older.
Yeah.
But I'll put it either in Dane Zorko or Daniel Rich. I'm not a big fan of players coming from other clubs to captain the club.
Yeah, I'm not really big on that either. But I think just Dane Zorko's you look at that kid and you go, well, that he's one day he'll be Brisbane. You know what I mean? Like, when you got those players who are the club.
Oh, we were talking about that before with Lynch. You got to bleed. You got to be.
You got to be the club. Like what the Silvani family and what Dustin Fletcher and all those guys were for their clubs. They were the clubs.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of St Kilda?
Nick Rewell.
Yeah.
I mean, you're exactly right. And I think Zorko's going to be that guy one day. But the guy who is that man today is Daniel Rich.
Yeah. I think they better not go co-captains.
No, I hate co-captains. Oh, I hate them with a passion. But I think Daniel Rich, he just seems like the likely candidate for me. And he's been at the Lions for a while now, hasn't he?
Yeah. And 2-time best and fairest.
2-time best and fairest.
They're both, Rich and Zorko are both 26, so they're that good age. Like, I know Rockcliffe's 26 as well. And if he doesn't leave, apparently, I'm not in a circle, so if everyone's saying he's not the best captain, he must not be the best captain.
No.
So, Zorko or Rich will probably captain the Lions next year. We'll go down to Carlton. Murphy now, who's 30, believe it or not.
Yes, that's weird. Because he was a young gun not long ago.
Yeah. I think Murphy will continue as captain next year, but I think Patrick Cripps or even Bryce Gibbs will be waiting in the wing just to. Like, I think if Gibbs becomes captain, he'll be more of a Monday. He'll be that transitional captain from Murphy to Cripps.
Yeah, I don't really see Bryce Gibbs. He's a terrific player, but he doesn't seem like the type that would like the captaincy.
Yeah, I don't. But
just how he plays. I mean, Cripps has been a brilliant player for the Blues, and I mean his name's come up throughout the year of being the next captain. But I think if someone said you've got to pick a next captain right now, and I know you've been talking through the year about transitional captains. I mean, I don't know why they didn't originally go with Cade Simpson.
I think they should have gone Cade Simpson, then Murphy, and then he's such an underrated player, Cade Simpson.
Cade Simpson, he is a terrific leader. He does have that voice in the field. I think he's the vice captain at the moment.
Yeah,
I think he's a great leader. I mean, he does have those captain's qualities in he knows how to talk to the media. Like, when was the last time you heard that Cade Simpson was in trouble with the media?
Never.
And I mean, I've seen him in post-match interviews and stuff, and he's good on the mic, and he knows his positions, and he knows how to talk to players. I like him as a captain, but if we're talking about the future, I like Cripps better.
Yeah, but just the fact that Cripps is 20, 21. That's
not now.
Too young. Yeah, that's what I think.
Talk to me in 3 years or 4 years, and we'll see.
Because I think we looked at it with Melbourne with Tringrove and Grimes being captains at such a young age. It was a failure.
And I mean, I think I know I did. I don't know about anyone else, but in my opinion, when they said he's gonna be the next captain, he was 21 years old. I was like, that's stupid.
No.
That's so stupid. Because I was talking to my friend about this when it originally happened, and I said to him, "Well, you've got to be in the club for a while and know the culture before you captain. Like being a captain isn't just being a captain. You've got to be the club to be the captain."
Exactly. And, we've all been 21 and...
No, I haven't. I'm 19.
So, I'm 20, but...
I will be in a couple of years.
I'm the same age as Marcus Pontepalli. He's I think, November, so he's 95.
Yeah.
But I couldn't handle being as responsible as he is.
No,
Even now. And I
lot.
consider myself a responsible person.
Yeah.
But he's got that captaincy about him. He's that responsibility.
Yeah.
He could be an arrogant pig, but we don't know that.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't know what happens in the inner circle.
It's the way you captain, you present yourself in front of the media and behind closed doors.
And there's a lot of things you've got to take care of. I mean, if another player got into trouble, it's your job to talk to the players.
Exactly.
Not really, the coach doesn't really handle that kind of stuff.
We'll go down to Scott Pendlebury. I'm not going to name my team, but Scott Pendlebury, I read an article yesterday, this is the only thing I have about him, is that it should be given to Taylor Adams.
Right.
Which, Collingwood's the only team that goes against my whole, a player shouldn't be captain if you come from another club. Taylor Adams was the second season GWS, he got traded for Heath Shaw.
Doesn't really count.
That's what I mean, it's like 2 seasons, he played a few games, kicked a few goals, had a few laughs, and then left.
And I mean, he was one of those young guys. He was one of the original GWS guys that came to the list. So I get what you mean, but it's a little bit different in my opinion.
But I think Adam Treloar, another guy from GWS, will probably captain him the best suit.
The Magpies are a weird one because the Magpies, when that premiership team began to die out, they didn't really have those players coming through as kind of gracefully, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're just a little bit all over the place with trades and stuff like that.
Well, I think I like Sidebottom as captain in a few years' time. I like Sidebottom.
I would rather Sidebottom than anyone else in that entire team.
Well, he's a vice captain, and he's a vice captain for a reason.
Yeah.
No matter what's happening with Essendon, they're going to get a new captain next year.
Pardon me?
No matter what's happening with Essendon, they're going to get a new captain, even if it's going to be Watson again, if he agrees to sign, or Dyson Heppel.
Well, we should find out next
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah.
2 weeks. I got Heppel. Heppel, he's...
If my knowledge is correct, I think he was the captain of a TAC grand final winning team or something like that a while ago.
Well, he was the captain of Essendon in 2014, just before Watson got injured.
Yeah.
I have Lynch, and you disagree. Who would you have captain Gold Coast next season? Because I have Lynch.
I can't really put a name on it. I really can't. Maybe Stephen May. That's a big maybe. But I can't really put a name for the Gold. The Gold Coast, for me, it's like the Gold Coast and the Magpies they have question marks because they really haven't had that solid team in a while.
Well, that's the thing. If you're being the captain of Carlton, Collingwood, or Essendon, you're the captain of the big three.
Yeah.
I
mean, how do you prepare a young team for a crowd in front of 80,000 people?
Exactly. Gold Coast, Tom Lynch, Stephen May, Sam Day, well, not Dino Pestier because he's heading off to Richmond, but any of those three who are the vice captain who should become the next captain, they have Ablett.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone to really... There's no leverage. There's no big history.
Yeah.
It's like...
But Ablett's a good guy to start from. He was a good captain.
I disagree. I think he was probably the worst choice as a captain.
Why is that?
He's a much better player than he was captain.
So you think he wasn't a good leader on the field? Because I beg to differ a little bit.
See, that's good because I beg to differ as well. I just don't think he was a good leader.
I can't because you gotta remember he did have a young team with him. It wasn't like Cameron Ling taking over the Cats from Tom Harley. He did have that young team, but you can tell that he was trying and he was teaching for that club.
See, I think Joel Selwood was a good leader. I don't think Taylor Walker, even though he won Captain of the Year this year, I don't think he's a good captain.
I haven't really seen much of him this year.
No, I think Rory Sloane should have been captain.
Rory Sloane, really?
Yeah, much better player.
Who was before Tex Walker? Was it Scott Thompson?
Van Berlo.
Van Berlo, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting one. But can we talk a little bit about the Bombers for a little bit longer?
Oh, if you want.
Thanks. I mean, when I saw Heppel captain the sides when I think Watson suffered the terrible injury, I think it wasn't last year. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Watson on the field when I saw Heppel. Just how he carried himself. He looked a little bit like Watson.
See, I saw Hurd.
Do you really still hurt?
Well, his only coach was Hurd, and I think maybe it was coach. No, his only coach was Hurd.
Yeah, at that time. Yeah.
I just thought it was like how everyone saw Rich with Voss.
Yeah.
Maybe Voss stayed captain coach would have been a very good transition.
What sold me with Heppel the most was I remember Goddard going to a heated verbal argument with another player.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
I can't remember that, but I remember Heppel running over to him and he grabbed him by the shirt and he said to him, I remember he was on the microphone. He goes back off. He goes, not worth it. He goes, go back to your position. Go back to your position. Like he was like, go on to your player.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that. And that's what sold me as captain. I'm like, that's a leader.
Yeah, players have those moments, captain moments.
When you have a player that his mind's all over the place and he's not really thinking straight, but you got that leader who comes up to you and he sets you straight. And I mean, can you imagine how intimidating that would have been to say that to Brendan Goddard, who has an amazing history at St Kilda, and he played in grand finals and took one of the greatest marks of all time in the grand final. And like you just starting out, you're in your second or third year or fourth year, but you say that to Brendan Goddard, like that takes a lot of guts to do that. And he wasn't shy. He wasn't like, oh, this is not my place, but he did it, and that's what sold me for him to be the future captain.
I think I remember that. I agree.
And we always talk about heart and soul and do you believe the club? Well, when everyone else was overseas, he was watching the games.
Yeah, Heppel was Essendon.
I saw him at Gold Coast Essendon.
Yeah. If the Giants get rid of either Phil Davis or Callum Ward, they're both 26. As a captain, it would be the worst mistake they've made.
I mean, Callum Ward stood up when he needed to stand up.
I know you're not a fan of co-captains, but they're the best co-captain duo in probably history.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a terrific job. And, like, Callum Ward wasn't a captain at the Bulldogs.
Oh, he was only 21.
He was only 21. He wasn't a captain at the Bulldogs.
He probably would have been future captain, yeah.
Yeah, Phil Davis wasn't the captain at... But they've taken that role brilliantly. To take that role and to be playing... I think the original one was Luke Power, in the mix of all that.
See, I like the Luke Power one as that original older guy.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, let's think about the Giants for being that young side. And when you're a young captain and you don't really have that much experience of being a leader, I mean, they did a brilliant job. They really stood up.
They have. And
I think they're one of the reasons why the Giants are the success they are today. Just because of how they conducted themselves.
And another one. I've got there's a few more to go. I got, after watching the Doggies game, at half-time, Isaac Smith was talking to the Hawthorn team. Yes, you can laugh at Isaac Smith for missing the goal.
Yeah.
He is a three-time premiership player and he's a superstar.
Oh, yeah.
It's either going to be Isaac Smith or Liam Shield to captain Hawks. I don't think Hawks will captain next year. I don't think Andrew Swallow will captain North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Ever since 2013, it's been Andrew Swallow, Jack Zeeble.
Yeah, and I mean, his name has been thrown here a lot because he's once again not that vocal player.
Jack Zeeble will take over, I think. I heard on the radio the other day they were talking about Trent Cotchin's giving the captaincy to Alex Rance.
Right.
Which I think Alex Rance looks like a more verbal person than Cotchin's is.
But I mean, in today's footy, when it's not... Like, the players are all over the place nowadays. If you have a defender as your captain, I mean, can he really be at all places? Like, when you look at midfielders are all over the place, so they can be in everyone's ear. But when you're a defender and you have someone to take care of, meaning your opposition, I mean, would he be a good captain?
I think he'd be a fantastic captain, Alex Rance.
Okay.
Go down. We spoke about this a few weeks ago. Jack Stevens would probably captain St Kilda.
Right.
So he should. Three best and fairest. Should have been All-Australian this season, but missed out. Jay McVeigh will probably give up the captaincy at Sydney.
And would Kieran Jack be the solo captain?
Nah. The Sydney does co-captain. They've always done co-captains. It'll be Dan Hanbury or Luke Parker, you'll think.
I see Hanbury.
Hanbury,
he's in that good mix.
And what I was talking about before, we spoke about this. I've got Robin Murphy will captain Doggies next year if Doggies don't win the premiership. If they do, you have to go Eastonwood.
I'd rather Eastonwood. I mean, Murphy's a terrific player and he's a great leader. But I just think Eastonwood's just better for the future of the Dogs.
I agree. Well, after this, we're going to go through the first final at the MCG on Friday night here on the AFL Hour. So Friday night at the MCG, the Geelong Cats take on the Sydney Swans for a spot in the grand final. For the Swans, it would be their third in 6 years, and it will be Geelong's first since 2011. Who do you think will win?
I honestly thought 3 or 4 weeks ago that this was going to be the grand final. I really thought that this was going to be the grand final.
As soon as the final series started, I was like, Geelong, Sydney. It looks right.
I mean, we were talking to each other and we just said to each other, well, they look like the most consistent.
Oh, sorry, no, I said the winner of Geelong Hawthorn v Sydney.
Yeah, but it's weird because you would have said Geelong, but I mean, they just Sydney just showed to me that they're a more hard-working side now. It's going to be an amazing game to watch. Just so competitive.
It would.
But I mean, there's something about Geelong. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about Geelong that tells me that they are going to beat Sydney. There's something about them. I'm not
Well,
sure.
just like the Doggies last week, Geelong has not bet Sydney in the final. They've played 3 times, 14, 34 and 2005.
Yeah.
Sydney's won all 3. Well, South Melbourne Sydney's won all 3.
But the thing about Geelong that makes me feel like it just feels like they're more intelligent for some reason. Do you get that?
Yeah.
They just feel like a smarter side walking in.
The only issue I have with both Geelong and GWS, they've played 1 game in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Where both the Doggies and Sydney both had to go through the hard way.
Yeah.
So, and we're on holidays now with uni.
Yeah.
I guarantee you once Sunday comes around, Sunday the 2nd of October, and we have to go to uni the next day, we really can't be bothered going.
No, but I mean, I get your point. But I mean, I think the game's going to be won on who can defend better. Who's got the better pressure. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a free-flowing game.
Nah.
A lot of tackling, a lot of stoppages.
Well, remember, if Sydney could have the score 1-0 at full time, they'll be happy.
Oh, yeah.
But I think since they got Buddy Franklin, I think they've lost that a bit.
Yeah.
Like their 2012 grand final, the 2012 premiership, a bit like the Doggies with Sam Reid.
Yeah.
As a bit like the Tom Boyd, the dominant tall forward who isn't dominant.
Yeah.
If Sydney had their way in 2012, if the score was Sydney kicked a point to the opposition 0, they would be happy.
Yeah.
Now I think they want to score a bit more higher, but I don't know. The MCG, because Geelong weren't happy that GWS got to play at Spotless, and people aren't happy that the finals at Spotless Stadium, which is GWS's home ground. But I understand they go to Geelong. This game should be at Simmons Stadium.
Well, it's been up for a lot of debate. I mean, a lot of people were for it when they played against the Dockers at Simmons. What year was that again?
2013.
2013. But then a lot of people were like, well, it shouldn't happen again. Look, the problem is, when you look at Simmons Stadium, it's not finished. They are still building stands at Simmons Stadium.
I do agree. I think it should be finals when it's finished. I think they should play finals, any home final, unless it's the big 5.
Yeah.
Collingwood, Carlton, Essendon, Hawthorn, and Richmond.
But I mean, they are not... Well, the funny thing is we forget the fact that they are a Victorian side, but they are not a Melbourne side.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like saying...
The supporters have to take like a 2-hour train ride or an hour car ride just to get to this game.
And I mean, it's like saying that Freo are going to play in... They're not going to play at Perth, they're going to play in Broome. In the kind of, like, you know what I mean?
Well, Freo is pretty much like Geelong.
Yeah.
But, Freo is like a 15-minute drive from Fremantle to Perth.
Yeah.
Where Geelong's half an hour to an hour.
And I mean, you don't have to be a genius to understand that the Geelong club are actually working towards trying to move this final series there. I mean, they put lights in there so they can play night games, and they've making the stands a lot more larger to fit more people. So I think that, I mean, it's sure one day they're going to play a final there, and they're going to play more finals, but at the moment, I don't think they should play there right now, because A, the MCG holds more people, and B, I mean, with the weather, if you've got one stand that's not completely finished, wind's going to blow through that stand.
See, I 100% agree with that, mostly because you're right, it's not finished, but when it comes to ticket sales, home stadiums should be home stadiums. The Giants, unless playing Sydney, should play all finals at Spotless.
But yeah, but then again, you would have to think that playing at Spotless would be some sort of promotional yada yada yada, you know what I mean? Like, just because playing in their home ground.
It's like if Gold Coast play finals and they're like, oh, you got to play at the Gabba.
Well, that's like completely two different towns, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it kills all momentum they have.
Gold Coast don't play in Brisbane.
No, they play Gold Coast.
They're playing Gold Coast.
Sydney plays in the Western Sydney. They don't play in Sydney. They play on the outskirts.
But the thing is, right, in Melbourne we have Etihad Stadium and the MCG, but the Doggies play their home games at Etihad Stadium, but they play their final series at the MCG. Why? Because they're in the same city. But I mean,
I also disagree with that. Etihad Stadium is pretty much the Doggies Stadium.
It is, but they play at the MCG though for finals.
Yeah, teams like Etihad Stadium belongs to
like the Bombers, Bulldogs.
The Bombers and Carlton are very much both MCG and Etihad, where you have Doggies, North Melbourne, and St Kilda, which play mostly at Etihad Stadium.
Yeah.
So I think most home teams' finals should be at their home ground.
But I think the AFL looks at it as, well, how many people can we fit into this stadium? You know what I mean?
Back to the thing. I think, pretty sure you both agree. If Sydney shuts down Dangerfield, Sydney will win. And if Geelong can shut down Buddy, Geelong will win.
Well, there's a lot of things you got to take into account. I mean, I mean, is Motlop and Hawkins going to play that magical game?
Motlop might be out.
Well, how about Hawkins? Do you think he's going to play that magical game?
Maybe.
How about Enright? Is Enright's experience... Because Enright just showed to us when they just beat Hawthorn that there was this... Like, you saw that passion come out of him again. Is Enright going to have a day out? Like, there's a lot of things you've got to consider because both teams have that amazing heart of the team.
Did you forget this game was on? I
did not. But, I mean, because our eyes are on Bulldogs and GWS.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Kind of
They're just so exciting to watch with how they run with the ball.
And because so much is on the line for both GWS and Bulldogs in this finals, you're like, it's so cool.
I think
and you're like, oh yeah, the other game's on.
Yeah, because I think it's both teams. They weren't really teams at the start of the year to win the grand final, or even make it to the grand final. But now they have the opportunity to make the grand final. Well, as Geelong and Sydney, you kind of went, oh, yeah, they were contenders.
And let's face it, I think everyone, as much as people like Sydney, as much as people like Geelong, we're kind of sick of seeing them in the prelim. We're sick of seeing Hawthorn, we're sick of seeing Sydney, we're sick of seeing Geelong. And we want to see new teams.
And we forget, when we talk about entertainment, we forget the fans a little bit. And like those GWS and Bulldogs fans are just so vocal. They are just so vocal. And I mean...
I guarantee you, if the Doggies make the grand final, when we talk about the Doggies, but I'll talk about it more, but I guarantee you, if the Doggies make the grand final, it'll be over 100,000 people there.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be almost filled to capacity.
Because, I mean, non-Bulldog supporters will go to that grand final because you want to see history. Yeah. When was the last time we saw history at a grand final?
Say Freo's first grand final.
Freo's first, yeah.
Which is also the biggest grand final attendance for an interstate team. See what the first grand final does to a team. GWS isn't a Fremantle. And
we've got to take into a fact, though, is that not a lot of people have to travel. With Freo, they have to take like buses and stuff.
That's the thing. And you got to remember that Fremantle had 20 years of hard luck, of not making it, not being good enough. And they finally made it, so their supporters were up and about. They had that history, they had that support. GWS in 2016, they're a cool team. Yeah. I watch them. They don't have I bleed for this club, you know. I'm going to get a GWS tattoo type of thing.
Mostly because A, they don't have a history, B, they're in Sydney, and C, a lot of people are just starting to recognise them and starting to recognise the game.
See, I guarantee you it took South Melbourne years to get that Sydney logo type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Not like, yes, they were Sydney when they moved up there, but it took them years to shake South Melbourne.
Yeah.
You know, people probably like, oh, they're South Melbourne. They're still South. But now they're Sydney.
Now they're Bloods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But good for the Giants. If they can do this prematurely, good for them.
Yeah. They did get a pretty good... I mean, it was predominantly Sydney in that qualifier, but they did get a lot of orange people.
There was more orange than you thought. That's the best thing.
And, like, looking at that stand, because the ANZ Stadium stand is just so long, like, there's not much levels, and you can just see how they were building up down there. So, I mean, I hope they make it. I'll be interested to know what happens.
So do I. Just before we go, who do you have, Sydney or Geelong?
I'm going Cats. I just have a feeling
it's so am I.
Cats, yeah.
And next we're going to talk about the GWS Western Bulldogs game here on the AFL Hour. This is the AFL Hour here with Liam and Geoff here on 90.7 Swinburne on SYN. And it's been 22,642 days since the Doggies won their 1954 premiership.
It seems longer. It seems like it was 1961.
61 was the last grand final, but 54 was the last premiership.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Can the Doggies do it? That's the $1 million question. Can lightning strike 3 times?
It's just weird.
So they cut you off. I went past the Bruce bus last night.
Okay.
Remember what I told you last week? How I got pulled over by a Bruce bus?
Yeah.
Same guy?
Yeah.
This week I drove straight past. I got flagged through.
Okay.
So I don't have a good feeling about the Doggies this week.
Well, it's just weird because, I mean, look at the past when they had, like, amazing legendary players. Like, Liberatore was cool. Grant was amazing. Johnson, Brad Johnson was a legend of that club. Then they had Ackermanis and
Scott West,
Barry Hall. Like, they've had amazing past. But then you think to yourself, they made the prelim. I remember at one stage like 3 years in a row. Like, why couldn't they win back then? And what's the difference between that club? If you put the list together and you compared them, you would think that the club that we used to watch in like 07 and stuff would be the better club.
That's actually a simple answer to that one. They were always the third best.
Yeah,
they were always. No way they went up against Hawthorn, who was the second best, and then they played Geelong. They played Geelong and St Kilda, and then they played Collingwood and St Kilda. I
mean, I don't know about this team because let's just compare them. So you have Luke Beveridge, who's the coach now, who was the coach back then, Rodney Eade, who I consider is a good footy mind. And then you look at the big list over there. They had Brad Johnson, Jason Ackermanis, and Barry Hall. And then it had Murphy was in that side too. Well, he's still in the side, but he's injured. And it had like that amazing list over here. But then like you go, I know this team's young. Maybe we don't give enough credit. But you kind of go, why couldn't they win the prelim? But why can they? You know what I mean?
That could be pretty much. We'll go back to '97. It's been a good time with our time machine here.
Yeah.
They played Adelaide.
Yeah.
This is Adelaide's second prelim final because they made it in '93.
Yeah.
But they came off. They had to travel because they finished fourth. Where the Doggies had the week off. They choked. The Doggies choked majorly and lost. They had, I think, a 22-point lead at 3 time. Lost by 2 points. Was it a goal by Liberatoria or not? Maybe.
Yeah.
Cameras these days, they probably would have done a goal review and maybe the Dogs would have been in the grand final.
Yeah.
They should have won that game.
Probably.
Then they played Adelaide the following year. Again, Adelaide had to do the travelling after finishing fifth.
Yeah.
They went left, right, up, down. Should have won that game as well and choked majorly and got smashed. Go to 92 and 85, the other previous prelims, they played Hawthorn and Geelong. Again, the best teams.
Yeah. But they're playing the Giants now.
Yeah. That's the thing. Giants haven't made it.
Yeah.
Giants have never made a grand final. They are the great West Sydney Giants who won 3 games in their first 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's how we see them. We don't see GWS as... They can win the premiership and they still won't look as the dominant side.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at the Bulldogs, am I overselling it, or do you think it's like the Bulldogs are just not playing to make the grand final? They're playing to make the grand final for all those guys who didn't make it in the past. Because they're carrying the weight of the last... I'm not good at maths. What is it, like the last 50 plus years?
Yeah, 55
years. Are they carrying the weight of that 55-year history of all those players who couldn't do it? Are they carrying that on their backs to make the grand final? Because they had some legends pass through that club. Any of them couldn't make the grand final.
And that's the thing with the Doggies. If you look at the history, they've won 4 wooden spoons. It's not like they've been a bad club. Like St Kilda's won 27 wooden spoons.
Yeah.
Not saying they're a bad club, but the Doggies have always been there.
Yeah, they've always had great players, but I mean, I don't want to be. I really don't want to be a Bulldogs player right now.
You know that guy in high school who's not popular but not a loser.
Yeah.
And can talk to anyone and just there, but no one really special.
Yeah.
That's the Bulldogs.
That's the Bulldogs.
But can they break through?
Because the thing is, what we've seen in the past is like with Port Adelaide and all those guys is they made a preliminary and we didn't really see much of them after that. So I'm not gonna say it's all on the line, but there is a lot on the line.
Exactly, and this is probably, like I said, this is the game that everyone's looking forward to.
It's such an exciting game. Was it Saturday?
It's going to be a fast-paced game.
Yeah.
Can the Doggies make the grand final? Who knows?
Yeah.
AFL.com has Sydney and Bulldogs winning the games. They have Sydney winning by 10 and the Doggies winning by 11.
Yeah.
The only issue I have the Doggies is the Giants' 3 tolls. Can they... If you can stop Cameron kicking the goal, but Pannon could kick 4. You can stop Pannon kicking the goal and Lobb could come up and kick 3.
I mean, we're talking about fast players. I mean... The player that I can see them slowing down is Toby Green, just because they're all on like the same level in terms of speed and strength. But how do you stop those big guys? How do you defend a ball that's high up in the air and all they have to do is take one jump and mark it? How do you do that?
Exactly, you don't.
So it's going to be... That's the game that everyone's going to be watching.
And how will Ryan Griffin and Tom Boyd go? Both former teams. Played for previous teams.
I mean, and we forget the history of Callum Ward. Ryan Griffiths was the captain of that club when he walked out. And
Callum Ward would have been the captain of the Doggies at one point.
Yeah, I mean, how do we forget about that? I mean, those two being who they were for that club, leaving the club. So there's a lot of things to consider.
There is so much, and this is pretty much the grand final before the grand final. Yeah, and it's funny because it's 4th versus 7th. For the first time ever, that's never happened before. And then you got 1 versus 2 the night before, which should be the game that everyone's talking about. 1 versus 2. Everyone loves 1 versus 2. 4th versus 7th is the biggest game of the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an amazing final series. When you say it like that, 1 versus 2, 4th versus 7, and then when you take into effect that, I mean, if you've never watched Australian rules football before, and all you want to see is a game that's built on 100% of heart, you want to see that Giants vs Bulldogs game because they're gonna, that neither team is gonna hold anything back. They're gonna be tough.
And that's the thing. Everyone's hyping up the Doggies, but you got to remember, Doggies have played. Giants didn't play last week. So Doggies dominated West Coast in Perth, and they dominated Hawthorn and MCG.
Yeah.
Informed team. The Giants ripped apart Sydney. They destroyed Sydney on the inside.
Yeah, and they stayed in Sydney, and they trained at Spotless.
Yeah. Like, no one expected them. They were lucky to make top 4, let alone now a prelim final.
Yeah.
They destroyed Sydney. They did what no one thought they would do.
Yeah, they did.
That's the thing.
All on pressure.
A week in footy is a lifetime.
Yeah,
everyone's forgot how good the Giants were 2 weeks ago up in Sydney.
Yeah.
They just destroyed Sydney. Sydney could easily destroy Geelong and prove that they are one of the best teams. So it's pretty much the two best performing teams at the moment, the Doggies versus the Giants. Like I said before, every heart has its last beat.
Mm-hmm.
So the Doggies could, be over. And it's not like the Hawks or West Coast. They won't slow down. Giants won't slow down. They won't be only halfway through the third quarter, the Giants get a bit tired. So the Doggies have to be out the block, kick maybe the first few goals. No points. There's not, missed goals.
No.
Because they guarantee it. And the same with the Giants. Because one of the teams will kick a few goals and it'll be over.
I get it. Make every handball count. Make every kick count. Yeah.
We'll probably talk about this next week because next week we'll talk about our 2017 predictions. But on Saturday night, could we be seeing our 2017 grand final
For as in the future?
as next year?
Possibly. Oh well, you can't really predict AFL, can you? Can't really
Exactly. But you got to think the Doggies at the moment look like it's not a matter of if they can play a grand final; it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
And same with the Giants.
They just got to keep that intensity up for the future.
It is, yeah. So who do you have for this game?
For the Doggies, Giants.
Yeah.
You've got this weird feeling that the Doggies just want it more, and I think that
You think the Giants aren't taking it too seriously?
they'll take it seriously, but it's just mentally wise. Do they still have that just urge to win the game after being out for a week? Like the Doggies still have that momentum, and they're still living off the high of last week of being the past premiers, the premiers who won the grand final for the last 3 years.
They bet the grand finalist.
Yeah, and I mean Doggies are. I think it's sold out, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's based off the Bulldog supporters travelling to go to the game. So they're just carrying this momentum with them, and off of that, I'm going to tip the Doggies.
Really, I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to tip the Giants.
I think an amazing game. And for Geelong, Sydney, I'm going to go with Geelong in the end.
Yeah.
I just think they look like the likely side.
And we'll be back to wrap up after this on the AFL Hour. And this is the AFL Hour here on Swinburne on Sin 90.7. And let's hope this is a good prelim final week this week with all the 4 teams. Good luck to all the teams. We'll be back here next week with the AFL Grand Final AFL Hour here on Sin 90.7.